Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is the continuation of our network program and Java network programming, in fact socket programming. So we have talked about what is socket, okay? Then we know there's a client server model all the time, okay? Whenever we have a client server architecture, then there's a client and then there is the kernel where we have the TCP and IP. The Ethernet drivers connect with the Ethernet network. Then we may have the other stuff which is in the data link, the Ethernet drivers. Then TCP IP is in between, while there's network layer, transport layer, and basically this is what is all about the socket and all that. And then goes to the application layer. And the server and client has this kind of thing in the local LAN. But in case of your WAN, okay, where there are some routers and internet and all those things, the largest WAN is basically the internet, okay? Then we have your client, operating system, LAN drivers, there's a LAN router, there's a lot of things in the internet in the cloud, and they get a router back to this thing, okay? So this is, again, we can have a client server architecture but on the internet, right? Now there is many protocols we are having. One of them is transmission control protocol, okay? And the TCP IP is a model we have. We have discussed about TCP and IP models and also UDP and all those things. Now talk about how the TCP socket API works. You know, we have a server firstly. We have a class called a socket, server socket basically, and it is either you bind it to something. Basically, you bind it to some port. Then it has to listen that port, okay? Now it accepts a connection from the client side. So client, so it's reading here. It blocks until connection from the client is there. So if the client comes in, it creates its own socket. The socket has the address of the server and also the port number, which is trying to connect, and it tries to connect. But this is TCP connection establishment. When it's connected, now server can read stuff, okay, and the client can write, and this can read here. And we know in between is the stream, that's the IO stream. It can do something and then write again and go back, read and write, and all those things. So it can read and write. It reads, then basically it writes to the server, okay, and it closes. Then it closes end of file notification, and here it can read that stuff again and then close. So this is how our how our socket program works. So in a nutshell, we are saying create a socket using socket function on the client side, okay? Then connect the socket to the address of the server using the connect function, or we can just tell him the address of the here and the address of the server and the argument of the socket I'm saying, and the port number. Then you can read and write using the IO stream. In the server, you create a socket, you bind it, you listen, and then you accept. Then you have to accept. Then you wait until this client doesn't accept. Then you can send and receive. Okay. Now this is our server program here, which creates a server socket. So put it in now, because if you put in a try block, it will not be available out of the block. So I keep it server socket on the top, and then create it using the new server socket. Okay. And we can bind it with the particular address and port number, or simply I am saying here, simple possible case, I am here bounding with the 30,009, a random port number. Okay, this can also be done. Then if it couldn't bound, so there could have exceptions, they cannot listen on this thing 3009, okay, that exit. Then I am saying if it is successful, if it is basically listening to the port, I say listening for connection. Now it needs it needs to connect. Okay, so for that we create a socket CS, and that is the client socket. That's why I call it CS client socket, and SC is the server socket, and equals to null. Firstly, and then try. I say sc.accept. So if client is requesting and it accepts it, it catches it. So it will wait here until it doesn't accept. The server will wait unless it doesn't accept the client connection. So it will not go beyond the 25 line unless the server is not connected, so it will stay here as our last output 22. So if I give it a go, for example here, so it's going to wait on listening for connection because client is not there. It's saying listening for connection here, right? If it's coming in a server, so it is listening. It's stuck here, listening for connection. If client accepts connection, okay, socket says is equal to null, and you accept the connection. If exception not accept failed, if a connection is successful, okay, it will go to line number 30 where it says connection successful, and then it says listening for input. System out of println says so listen for input. So what we do now is a print writer, output a new print writer which is linked with the 2, because CS.get output stream is the 2, because we said we have a server and a client on 2 sides, and there's a tube of stream. So you have to get a CS.get output stream. This one, the client side, because clients you're listening with the client side. Similarly, you got buffer reader for input. That's input stream, and it says CS.get input stream. So you got output and input linked with the client's stream, input and output. Then you create a string str, okay, and you basically read a line from the stream which is being stuffed by the. Basically, you are waiting here for the client to say something. When the client is stuffing some line into the stream, it reads it. If it is not there, it will wait for it. It will wait, like a scanf in the C waits on the console for some input. Similarly here, it will wait for in a stream, so that client should write something to it. Then you say here server plus str, okay, because the server who is writing it, okay, you're writing it on the console, and you write that string which is being which we got from the stream, which is being stuffed by the client. Then you stuff it back. You say the str plus equal by server. Okay. Now you stuff it back. You say output, because output is with the stream again. Okay. So it will write back this str with plus this equal by server stuff. So this will go back. So you are writing to what stream? So if the client reads it, it will read this thing. Okay. Then we say if str dot equals by, if this str is equal to by, I'm gonna break out of this while loop, and it will close the connections, all connections, output, input, client socket, and server socket. Okay. Now similarly, we have a client. Better is because we have to run it in 2 windows. I will open up this thing again. I will open up the Eclipse again. Now you can't open it with the open workspace. So what we do is we have a different workspace. I say Java P, for example, and I say OK. I should not have said default. Okay, I should uncheck that default. Now it will open up another copy of the Eclipse, which is where I have run my client. Okay. So this is my, and this already I have imported here. You could import this file, import, save. So this is my another window here, which is actually I have imported that. You could import file, then they say import, and import the same project with this, and I got the client here already imported. Okay, is it no, this is the different one. I should import again, import from the existing project into the workspace. Then I should go to the top level directory, browse, and top level directory is in the Windows local disk C. I got there the users. In the user I got Ginny, and in the Ginny I got workspace, and say OK. And there I have the client. I say deselect all, then I get a client, and I say OK. Then I say OK. Oh, it's coming totally down. Then I say finish. So now I got a client here. Let me close this client. This is from the charts, the old one. This is my client. Okay, now let's see the client code. So in the client code, I am creating a socket firstly, client socket. That's if I say simply socket, that's client socket. If it's server socket, the server socket. Then I got a print writer and buffer reader, couple of guys. Then I am creating a socket, rather I should say here 127.0.0.1. That's the loopback. That's the local host. That's the local host because it's the guy, and I need to have a same port which I have to listen, which I am writing to, and that port will be same as this 3009. Okay. So I got here 30009. Now I say output equals to new print writer, because the print writer stuff, the output and input of a couple of guys which you read and write. Then CS dot will output stream and put it true, and input is a new buffer reader, new input stream, and I guess CS the buffer is with the input stream is with the CS dot client side of the socket dot get into stream, and this is socket dot get output stream. And if doesn't happen, so I say unknown host exception or IO exception, so we'll catch them. Okay, maybe I will not say here unknown host, rather I will say here something. Maybe I say something went wrong. Whatever. Okay. Okay. Now then I got a buffer reader. That is stdin. This will actually read from the keyboard. New input system.in. It will be attached to the system.in. Okay. Why is not coming up totally? Should come. Oh, not this one. Yes. Once again, I don't need this welcome window. Okay. Now I say this thing. Then I got a string input line. I will read from the keyboard. Maybe I will say here while true. Do it all the time. Okay. Do it right true. Okay. And this thing will happen forever. And I say input line is equal to this thing. Okay, read line from the keyboard, basically I put in the input line, and simply output a print line, input line. Then I say println. I'm saying output dot println. So output is with the socket. Okay, and so it will write to the socket. So it will write to the stream. Basically, we wire from the. You read it from the keyboard and you stuff it into the stream. Now we wire from that means you are giving it to the server. Server can read from the, just waiting for this thing. Okay, and the server is waiting for this thing. You are stuffing into the stream, and the server will now catch it. Now we say client plus input dot read line. Okay. Maybe I say also here if input line, what is input line, equals input line dot equals this one is equal to by, for example, I want to go get off, then you just say one thing, you break out of it. Then the one thing you break out of the loop. Okay, when you come out of the loop, you're gonna close all these connections. Okay. Now let us try to do one thing. Let's try to put them on one side. Let me snap it here. Okay. Let me snap it on this side. Snap the guys and. Let us see its console, show view console. That's it, and this is Windows show view console. So I go to the console, and I have actually run. My server is actually running, which is listening for the connection. Now I will run this client, which will actually, when the client comes up, there is some problem. Otherwise, it should tell me that unknown host. Why is it saying unknown host? Let me see what's the problem here. Let me get back my stuff. Okay. Why is this unknown host? Let me see. I don't understand why he's telling me unknown host. We first save everything here, snap it. It's coming up. My recorder is in front. Then I say go, run it, run the client code. It should run it for me. Where is the console? Oh yes, it's working actually. It was not saved actually. Is saying connect successful? Now it is listening for the input. Okay, maybe I say here Junaid is teaching Java, and I say enter. Okay, now it's saying listening for so it has come up here in the server. Junaid is teaching Java, and then it stuffs it back. Okay, it stuffs it back. So that's why I say Junaid is teaching Java, and it stuffs it back how? A code-based server, right? Then maybe I say next line stuff it into stream. So I'm writing here. Okay, when I write here, because this guy is in an infinite while loop to read from the from the actually stream, and I'm stuffing it. The moment I stuff it here, it comes up here because it's ready to read. Next line stuff it in stream. Okay, maybe I say buy. Okay, and now I got a buy. Server says buy, code builder buy. It should close the stuff, but I don't know why it's not closing. There's some problem. Is it closed or not? Yeah, it's closed. It's not working anymore. As you can see here, this is gone. It's not there. Red. It's stopped. If it's not coming a little bit down, it is stopped. So it is when you say buy, basically. Server says buy equal to server, and it also closes. It also closes. Do you understand? If I give it a go again, listening for connection, and this time around, if it doesn't close that port properly, then it will have a problem for listening it again. Okay, that's why we should have something so that it gets closed. So it's the red button here. Okay, there is something. Okay, now this guy is not running, as you could see. This one is not. Right, maybe okay, snap first. Okay, what I do is here is I will first clear the console. I will give it a go. The moment I give it a go, it's accepting the connection because it's connecting to the server on the same port, the client. It's connection successful, listening for the input. Now you write here Jenny, and it comes up here. You write something. It comes exactly here with the echoed stuff, and you just say buy, and it doesn't work because buy was capital. Okay, let's say capital buy. The moment you say buy, just watch the red buttons. They will go because they will be closed. Okay, or we could have just give some information here. I could say Cecil. Shutting down server. Okay, and same thing I will say in the client. Here shutting down client. Okay, file, save it. Now if you run for example if I run first the client, now there's something wrong because the server is not on, so what will you connect to? Okay, so before you run a server, basically a client, you have to run a server. So let me snap it. Now first I have to run a server, then I have to run a client. Now it's a connection for listening for input, say something, and it's coming up there, say something, it's coming up there, and say bye. Now you say shutting down server, shutting down client, and it's shut down actually. Okay. Now you want to run a standalone program. For example, you want this server and client to be run in a standalone. If it's a graphical program, you can run it in a, clicking it like an executing file. So for that, what we do is we just make a file. Let me say export. In the export, say Java runnable jar file, Java archive file. Okay. Now you name it something. Say for example, I would say it's server or something. I've done it already. Server chat. Maybe it's called server or something like that. And where you want to put up it is in the documents. I got the Java file, and there I write it as a server.jar, server.jar, server.jar file, and copy the libraries and also say finish. It's already there. Say yes. Say yes. Okay. Now similarly, we got here the client. This guy, I want to make the same thing here. File. Then I say, for example, file export, and then I say in the Java I say runnable jar file. Then now I have a client, for example, export destination. Maybe I will put the same thing. If I remember, it was in the documents, then it was called Java, right? Java, and there maybe I call it a client.jar, client, maybe C capital, so that it will have the same file which is there. Save. Then copy required libraries also. Say finish. Say yes. Say yes. Now I got the client and server going on in the as a jar file, so I put cmd. I will land with the same folder, cd documents /Java. Okay, so I will run here a server program. So how I run a server program? I say with the Java -jar, then I get the file name. What's the file name? server dot server.jar. Okay, server.jar. I should say server.jar. Now give it a go. Let's see what will happen. There's some problem. Let's see what's the problem. Actually, there is no problem. It's listening for the connection. It's coming up. Now I will open up another command prompt, cmd, another thread of the cmd. I go to the same folder called as cd documents/Java, and I run here Java, the jar file, jar. The file name is client, client.jar. Okay, now I run the client. The moment I run the client, you can see here it's connection successful, listening for an input. Now you're listening for input, say Junaid from client, whatever. It's coming up here, Junaid from client. Junaid from client equal to the server. Now you see here something. It's coming up there and echoing back. Now you say bye. It's a bye. Shut it down server, shut it down client. It's done. It's gone. Right? So this is how we do.